Message from Starfleet Command, top priority.
You are listening to the TrekRanks podcast, a member of the Tricorder Transmissions Podcast Network. This is episode 174, featuring the top 5 Ensemble Episodes. Welcome, Star Trek fans. I am Jim Moorhouse, and I'm the host of the TrekRanks podcast. And tonight, I can guarantee you everyone on the show this evening is going to play a big part in this episode, because this week we're highlighting the top 5 Ensemble episodes in the history of Star Trek. And we will get into how we're going to define an ensemble episode in a minute in our prime directives. But I will just start by saying that an ensemble is a group of artists or actors that perform together, and also is defined as a group of items viewed as a whole rather than individually. So some interesting options in play for how our guests might look at this. And for a topic like this, we have compiled our own ensemble of great guests for this show, beginning with, we have two first-timers coming on the show tonight. So first up, they both filled out our TrekRanks survey probe that we put out a few months ago. First up, she's hailing us from the Connecticut cluster. Please welcome Anika Dane. Anika, welcome.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you.
I am so excited to have you on. I know we've connected on Twitter a few times over the years, so I'm fired up to have you on. And second, also making his debut on TrekRanks, coming from the UK sector, we've heard from him quite a bit over the years with some various lists. It's Simon Foster. Welcome, Simon.
Oh, great to be here. Really excited to talk some Trek with you tonight.
As I also might call you Funky Sai. I know you're gonna reveal that in your Twitter handle later, but I might just have to call you Funky Sai because I love that. Okay,
that's fine.
All right, Anika and Simon, first time guests. We got to get our Trek origin story. So Anika, I'm going to start with you. What's your Trek backstory, and how'd you get into it? When'd you get into it? Are you a completist? What's your favorites? Let's hear it all.
Okay, so my father was a theater professor at university, and he had an honors student who put on a stage production of Battle of Terror as his thesis.
Wow.
So my introduction to Star Trek was actually on stage.
Wait, so they did it was a one-person show, or was it an actual theater production of Balance?
Oh, no. He cast the whole thing and directed. It even had commercial breaks.
Oh my God, that is so cool. Okay.
It was amazing. You know, they had like a scrim so that it was on screen, and they built up their own version of the Enterprise set.
That is awesome.
And so that I was, 8 or 9. My little brother was 5, and we were just blown away by Star Trek.
This sounds like an episode of Star Trek Prodigy.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I found out it was a TV show. TNG was on at the time, and we started watching it, and I became a fan for life. My brother and I he now lives in California, all the way on the other side of the country. But we still text each other when new Star Trek is on so that we can watch it together. I would say that my favorites are Voyager and Picard because I like mess. And they're very messy.
Yeah, I like that.
They're not the best, but they're my favorites.
Yeah, I think that's fair. When it comes to Voyager, man, this is so eminently rewatchable.
Absolutely.
In all its forms. So that might be the most unique Trek origin story I've ever heard. I love that. So it was a play that one of your father's students did as a thesis statement of Balance of Terror. That's incredible. So wait, how much have you seen? Have you seen it all?
I have seen at least most. I would say I think there are episodes of Enterprise that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I think there may be some episodes of Deep Space Nine. I was in college during those, and I just didn't watch as much.
Awesome. That's fantastic. This means there's more Trek to watch. So
that's right.
Okay, Simon, let's hear your backstory.
I've been a Trekkie for longer than I can remember. TNG, I watched that religiously in the 90s, and it was on BBC Two at 6 o'clock on Wednesdays. except when they cancelled it for various sporting events. Sorry, still bitter all these years later.
Yeah, that's a USA story too, for sure.
So, and then onto DS9 and Voyager when those came out. I'd probably say TNG, DS9, probably my favorites. Favorite character, Spock, Data kind of characters. I've always kind of been drawn to the kind of the alien, often feeling a bit like an alien, especially in my teenage years. So I really connected with those kind of characters, and also the science in Trek.
Right.
I always loved hearing the science of the technobabble. I remember one day I learned about the hysteresis curve at school, and then watching DS9, Kira and Miles are using the hysteresis curve to save some technobabble issue. It's amazing. What other show does that with science?
That's beautiful. I love it. Okay, and so I have to tell everybody the conversation we just had before we started recording, which Anika got to hear. I just asked Simon, hey, did you ever go to one of the destination Star Trek conventions in Birmingham like 10 years ago? It was like 2014 or 15. And were you in a trivia contest, and did you win that? And he answered yes to all those. And I went, oh, that's awesome. I was in second place in that trivia contest because I remember it distinctly thinking, I think that's Funky Sci. And then I never saw you again. So that's incredible. I love that I finally got that answer after 10 years. Okay, let's get into our TrekRanks recalibration and get into this topic.
What are you recalibrating?
Everything. It's a sweeping, a recalibration of all systems.
Okay, the TrekRanks charter has two clauses. One, we rank Trek so we can have a fun conversation about Star Trek. And two, the ranks don't matter. We just use them as the framework to have a deep dive conversation about all the things we love about Star Trek.
But what is that Vulcan motto? Infinite diversity.
In infinite combinations.
And what is diversity? But a celebration of differences.
Because as the ensemble of T'Pol and Dr. Phlox just said right there, TrekRanks is a celebration of differences. No wrong answers here. This show's about sharing all the things we love about Trek, and we love it all from TOS to TNG, straight to Enterprise, and the Kelvin timeline now, Discovery, Picard, Strange New World, Short Treks, Lower Decks, and Prodigy as well. It's all fair game here on the TrekRanks podcast.
Black alert. Black alert.
And a reminder that this episode of TrekRanks is current through the fourth season of Star Trek Lower Decks and 903 overall episodes of Star Trek across the past 57 years. And one final note that we use episodes as a shorthand term, but the 13 films are always in play as well.
Hailing frequencies open.
Thank you, Mr. Worf. You can hail me directly on Twitter at TrekRanks or at Enterprise N Extra, and on Blue Sky at TrekRanks. And you can see our extensive rankings of all the Treks at TrekRanks.com. And don't forget, you can leave us a message with your own picks at 609-512-LLAP. That's 609-512-5527. Okay, Anika and Simon, let everyone know how they can get a hold of you on Subspace. Anika.
I am Pixie Dane at most places, Manic Pixie Dane on Twitter, by Pixie Dane on Blue Sky. And if you go to like Instagram or really any of those and find Pixie Dane, then there's, a link in bio TM that links to all of my other places.
AKA all the socials.
That's
I love
right.
it. Simon, tell us about Funky Sci.
I'm at FunkySci1701 on most of the socials. I also have a website, FunkySci1701.com. Not a lot of Trek on there, but there are links to contact me if you want to.
Fantastic. I love that handle so much, you guys. Okay, we are going to skip our diagnostic cycle and get straight into how everyone defined their picks with their prime directives.
Do they know about Prime Directive? They know everything I know, sir.
And you are about to know everything we know about our prime directives. So, Anika, let's start with you. How did you define your prime directive and finalize your picks?
So I decided that I would look for episodes that showcase a group of characters and or highlights all of the individuals working together to a common cause.
Oh my God, I love that. So they were not just featured, but working together.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, that's fantastic. Simon, how about you?
So first time TrekRanks, so I kind of tried to spread the love around some of the different shows, and basically a gut feeling of a show that makes good use of the entire cast. I kind of ruled out Enterprise, because I don't think they made a lot of good use of Travis Mayweather, and a lot of the TOS episodes, because by its very nature it concentrated on Kirk Spock Bones, but that's kind of where I went with it.
Okay, man, we are almost on the same page. I have those exact notes plus one in my notes. So what I really focused on ensemble. So every single person in the regular cast had to feature prominently. So I had a bunch of ones that I really thought about for a while. I was like, nope, sorry, Jake Sisko's not in that one, or something along those lines. So I had to rule those out. So yeah, it was tough narrowing it down, but I did try to spread it around to 5 different series. And then I said, just like with you, I actually made a note that TOS, Enterprise, and I'm going to say Discovery were really not designed to have ensemble shows. So those were kind of off my list from the get-go, because even Discovery, you mentioned TOS and Enterprise, Simon, but Discovery is, it's really Burnham and Saru, and then a little bit of Stamets and Tilly, but from there it was anyway. That's kind of where my focus went, was away from those 3 series, because it was not designed that way. Okay, let's do it. Third Ramaticon, introduce us to the order of things.
I am a Jem'Hadar. He is a Vorta. It is the order of things.
Thank you, Third Ramaticon. As always, we're going to start with our 5-word summary and a hashtag to tease our picks, and then we'll each reveal our ensemble episode choice and the reasons we're highlighting that episode. And after getting through 5 rounds of picks, we'll get a few secondary system selections from everyone for some of the picks that just missed our list. And if we have any duplicate picks, make sure you listen for the Defiant Torpedoes. Okay, Anika, I love your simple prime directive. It sounds so simple, but I bet it was hard. So what's your number 5 pick for ensemble episodes?
All right, my 5 words are: round up the usual suspects, hashtag fighting dragons with you. And my episode is Voyager Season 4 two-parter, The Killing Game.
Ooh, oh my God, that's so good. That is so good. Okay.
So if you don't recall this episode, the Hirogen have taken over Voyager, and they've made it basically a giant holodeck. The entire ship is a holodeck except for the bridge and sickbay. And they are running lots of different games, and have made it so that all of the Voyager people think that they are the characters in the games. And what I think makes this a really good ensemble piece is everybody in the cast gets to play more than one character. They get to play their actual character, and then they get to play a version of their character in fake Nazi occupied France. And also in a Klingon setting. And they get to, really show off Seven Sings, and Tuvok and Janeway are running Katrine's, which is a very Casablanca Sandrines-esque bar. And they are all running messages to get the Nazis out of France. And at the same time, the Doctor and Harry, who are outside of the game, are trying to get them messages and return them to their own selves so that they can get the Hirogen off of Voyager. So it is both, it's layers of ensembles, and they're all working together to first get out of Hirogen control, but then they find out that the Hirogen captain wants to use holodeck technology to save his own species from endless war. So it becomes this whole thing where they're also saving the Hirogen, and they work together with their enemy. And it's play saving lives.
I love it. It's layers of ensemble. You just said that. It's perfect. This is such an awesome pick. I have a pick that kind of mirrors this, that I'm fascinated by some of the points you were making. I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly why I made my pick. Simon, what is your take on The Killing Game? What an awesome choice.
Yeah, that's a really great ensemble episode. And yeah, the way the different characters are a bit out of character, Seven singing, that just, a really good one.
Keep it moving! Keep it moving! Get the lead out of your pants!
Yes, sir. You heard it.
Mid-20th century American slang.
You got a problem with that, sister?
You're enjoying this simulation. I find that peculiar given the circumstances.
Loosen up, baby doll. The war's almost over.
Leave the war outside. It's so good because they all play some level of a different character than themselves. So good. Okay, except maybe Harry, but he was a hero, so maybe that's a different character.
It's different for him. He got to save the day.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Simon, what's your number 5 pick?
Furry alien steals the show. # first comedy episode. I'm going with the Trouble with Tribbles, TOS.
Oh, you are. That's fantastic.
Delightful.
So that is a great fit for TOS. I did think about this one for sure. Everybody's got something to do. I love it. Brilliant.
Yeah, TOS doesn't really do ensemble episodes like the way the other shows do, because it concentrates on Kirk, Spock, McCoy.
Yeah.
But this show has lots of different moments for different members of the crew. We've got her with her love for the Tribbles, Scotty's love for technical manuals and starting the fight over the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Plus, he gets involved in the closing joke at the end.
Yeah. And if I think that Kirk is a Danubian slime devil, well, that's my opinion, too.
Don't do it, mister, and that's an order.
But you heard what he called the captain.
Forget it. It's not worth fighting for. We're big enough to take a few insults. Now, drink your drink.
Of course, I'd say that Captain Kirk deserves his ship. We like the Enterprise. We really do. That sagging old rust bucket is designed like a garbage scow. Half the quadrant knows it. That's why they're learning to speak Klingonese.
Mr. Scott.
Laddie, don't you think you should rephrase that?
You're right. I should. I didn't mean to say that the Enterprise should be hauling garbage. I meant to say that it should be hauled away as garbage.
Chekhov makes a joke with Spock about odors traveling through the vacuum of space.
There's very little.
So it's got a lot of the crew in. So that was going to be my first choice for a TOS one.
That's so good. That is. I just rewatched this like maybe 3 days ago on a slow TOS rewatch. Absolutely everyone. I mean, Uhura is amazing in this episode. She's got so much to do. Everybody. This is brilliant choice. Anika, what's your take?
I love it. I mean, it's a classic episode, delightful every time you watch it. And I thought of the bar scene immediately that ends in a brawl because, everybody is there and they all have to they play off of each other and try to keep each other from not getting into a big fight, but they get into a big fight anyway. And then Kirk has to clean it all up and he's just so delightfully annoyed the entire episode.
Yes.
Because he's just mad at everybody. He's mad at the people on the station and he's mad at his crew and he's just done. So it's a great, how can everybody on the ship annoy Captain Kirk as much as possible episode? I
mean, this is an all-time great performance from Shatner. Storage compartments? Oh, God, it's so good. I don't want to spoil anybody else's future pick, but I didn't think of this one, but Trials and Tribulations would be like a double ensemble with Deep Space Nine too. It's crazy. So, okay, but who knows? Maybe that's somebody's pick. All right, let's go to my round 5 pick. This is one of my all-time favorite episodes, and it's crazy. I picked this in our very first episode 1 of TrekRanks, as my number 1 choice for top 5 comfort food episodes, and I've never chosen it again. This is only the second time. So 5 words and a hashtag. The shortest route to victory hashtag, Riker versus Picard versus Kohlrami. And it is TNG Season 2, Episode 21, Peak Performance.
In the present context, what did she mean by bust him up?
In her own way, Dr. Pulaski was instructing me to take the shortest route to victory.
As opposed to what?
And I love this because everybody's got something to do. Everyone is taking a big role in the war game simulation that is taking place on the ship. You've got Picard teamed up with Data and Troy, and of course the Doctor is still on their ship, and then Riker has LaForge and Worf and Will Wheaton and Wesley Crusher, who's got a big role to play in sneaking back to the Enterprise and getting his science experiment so they can go to warp. I love this episode. I love Roy Brocksmith as Serena Karami, one of my all-time favorites, and I just feel like this is really cool to see both crews totally in action on their own ships, split evenly right down the middle, 4v4. Peak performance, TNG. Anika, what's your take?
I love that. It's a great episode. I agree that everybody gets to do something and we get to see them play off of each other, which we don't get to see very often.
Right.
Because they're usually all working together. And this is, it's a sort of a low stakes version of Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah. Very much low stakes version of Best of
we
Both
can
Worlds.
we can root for both sides.
Right,
It's fine, whoever wins we win, so it's all good. It's just all in fun, and Data gets to learn a lesson, which is
and we even get Armin Shimmerman showing up there.
That's right.
Simon, what's your take on peak performance?
Yeah, another great ensemble show. Not too familiar with this one because season 2 I've not watched in a while. But yeah. Good choice.
You've got some homework then. There we go.
I do.
An all-time classic. Okay, let's go to round 4. Anika, what do you got? By the way, I haven't said this yet, but how cool is it that we have an Anika on our show right now? This is like, every time I say it, I'm like, Anika, okay. Woo-hoo.
You can call me 7.
So, okay, there we go. Even better. All right, what's your number 4 pick?
Time is a social construct. #flash forward, and we're taking on the world together. I picked Prodigy, season 1, episode 8, Time Amok.
Oh, so good. Definitely on my secondary systems.
I love this episode. I love Prodigy as a whole. I just think it is such a gift to Star Trek.
Seriously.
And this episode, they're trying to work together as a crew, as an ensemble, and they fail, and they accidentally get split off into completely separate time zones. So they're in their own little space-time pocket where time goes differently, and they have to figure out how to work together and communicate with each other, even though they are all split up and completely separate. And they succeed. And they succeed by working on each part of the riddle themselves so that they can then get out and be reunited as the ensemble that they actually are. So even though they're separated, they're still working together as an ensemble.
Yeah, I like the way that fits your Prime Directive so perfectly. It's such a smart episode. So well done when they kind of break everybody into their own section.
And amazing character building while they're all split up and coming back together. It's just wonderful for the characters and for the relationships.
I mean, it's insanely good character building with Rock Talk. Simon, what's your take on Time Amok from Prodigy? Are you caught up on Prodigy? Because I don't think that came up.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Prodigy over the last few days because it just hit Netflix.
Me too.
And so I actually saw this one earlier today.
Oh man.
My kids have started putting it on, and I'm very impressed that they're slowly getting into their Trek. And this episode in particular, I love the growth of Rock Talk in this episode. Yeah, really good pick.
How long do you guys think Rock Talk was alone?
It's painful to think about. I don't want to know.
I know,
because it's so sad.
I mean, it was definitely more than a few years. That's crazy. Oh my god, such a great episode. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's top 2 or 3 on my TrekRanks Prodigy count. Okay, Simon, what's your number 4 episode?
Quantum filament causes crew problems.
Yes.
Officer in charge of radishes. I have picked Disaster from TNG.
Perfect. That is also on my short list. So good.
Yeah, it's a great ensemble. The Disaster is used to great effect, splitting the crew into unusual groups. Troy in command, Worf on medical duty, Crusher and Geordi holding their breath, Riker carrying Data's head around.
I was wondering if you were going to go straight there.
Yeah, I did. And so, yeah, the scenes with Troy in command are really good. That's some really good stuff there. Yeah, great episode.
And you also get the bonus of Keiko and Ro and O'Brien in this episode. So it is not only an ensemble for the regular cast, but you get the bonus of the three main guest characters. Incredible. Anika, what's your take?
Oh, I love Disaster. It's absolutely one of the top ensemble episodes. Everybody gets to shine, and I love this. I love everything. It has heart. It has humor. It's just a perfect episode. You can watch that one without anything else to like cheer you up. I just think that
and also
on a rainy day, it's a perfect rainy day Star Trek.
Yeah, and it also has real agency with the stuff with Michelle Ford, with Ensign Ro and Troy kind of squaring off, and the potential of everybody dying down there if Troy doesn't make that choice, just sacrificing them. So it's so good, so well done.
You said there was no way to stabilize the containment field from the bridge. Could it be done from engineering?
Yes, but my readings indicate there's no power down there. They don't even have monitors to tell them there's a problem.
Could we divert energy from the bridge to those monitors?
Yes, sir.
I will say it again, there is no reason to believe that anyone is still alive in engineering. We're wasting time even talking about this. We have to separate the ship now.
I believe there are still people alive down there. And I'm going to give them every chance. Assuming they're alive, they'll be hoping there's someone up here who can help them. So we'll help them. Chief, divert the necessary power to engineering.
Aye, sir.
I remind you, Counselor, that power coupling could overheat at any moment. By not separating the ship now, you could be responsible for all our deaths.
Thank you, Ensign. Proceed.
Okay, let's close out round 4. This episode has only been chosen once previously on 174 episodes of TrekRanks, which is crazy to me. It's the first time I'm choosing it. And this is the episode that is kind of a mirror to your choice, your first choice, Anika, The Killing Game. 5 words and a hashtag. Crew fights mundane existence together, hashtag. I also have humorous anecdotes to share, and it is Voyager Season 7 Workforce, and I love this episode. This can be a little bit of a polarizing one. Some people don't like this episode. I love it. I just find it so comfortable seeing the Voyager crew working these mundane jobs and just kind of enjoying their lives. I love Janeway in this episode across the board. Kate Mulgrew is just fantastic as her job is to monitor the reactor coils, and she could not be happier doing it, and hooking up with Jaffin. And I mean, they have a real good chemistry, those two. And then you've got Anika Hansen. Yeah, she's the efficiency monitor, monitoring everything. It's just so well done. Tuvok is hilarious in this one and kind of figuring out what's going on. And then, like you said, Anika, everyone's playing a little bit of a different role in this one, right? So most of them are playing different characters because they don't really know who they are. And B'Elanna's pregnant again in this episode, just like in The Killing Game, where it plays a big part in the story. And I just love it. And little side note trivia, this always blows me away that the owner of the bar, Umali, is played by Iona Morris, who was one of the little kids in the TOS Miri episode, and is the brother of the great Phil Morris, who played John Kelly, and of course, Third Ramadaclon. So I always love that. And she's really actually very good in this episode as the owner of the bar. Anyway, awesome episode. The doctor's feuding with Kim, and Chakotay's going undercover. It's got everything. Anika, what's your take?
So I have not seen season 7 of Voyager in a long time, but I do, like you said, Anika Hansen is the efficiency officer. I was like, I remembered that immediately. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of my job.
That's great.
I am, in fact, the efficiency officer. So good. And what I remember is that Janeway, that she's so happy that she sort of gets to relax in a way that we never see her. That she's never allowed to just sort of let her hair down and just be herself and not worry about, not be thinking three-dimensionally about the whole rest of the crew. And that she has to take up that burden. And I remember it being like a tiny little crisis for her, that's like, I have to be who I am, but it was really nice to not be me for a little while.
Yeah, that moment's really powerful. It's when Chakotay is kind of starting to get through with her when they're together, and then he's talking to the ship, and that's when he reveals that she's the captain of the ship. And she's just like, no, I want nothing to do with this, and storms out because it's too much. Simon, what's your take on Workforce?
This one was on my secondary systems. It's what I thought about because all the crew have like these different jobs, and you kind of see them in different lights. And Torres is pregnant, and really good one. Yeah,
it's a fun one. I love it. Okay, let's go to the soup round.
Oh, Vulcan Plummeek soup, and I'll bet you made it too.
Anika, what's your number 3 pick?
Okay, the Cerritos is my collective. # play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's Lower Decks of season 2, I Excretus, which is legitimately one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek ever.
I had no idea where you're going with that 5 words and hashtag. I was trying to think, which Lower Decks is this? For reasons, but that's okay. I Excretus. I love this. So good with the all the holodeck simulation.
Yeah, it's another one where they have to play war games. And go into the holodeck and do their own different things, but then come together at the end. And what really elevated this for me. So the Lower Decks and the Bridge Crew are both set up to play simulations and get points, and they are mostly bad at it, but Boimler, this episode made me love Boimler more than anything in the world.
Me too.
He is like determined to win, and he's determined to win by saving as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Which is just so Star Trek and so heartwarming. And I just he wanted to save all the Borg. And I think, and I also always want to save all the Borg. So he really got my heart. But then he gives up his own individual victory in order to help everybody else save the ship entire. And I think that is like peak ensemble-ness.
Yes.
Is saying, I am, the team is more important than me by myself.
Yeah.
And he sacrifices that. And it's just I love Lower Decks. This episode I talk about it all the time. It's so good. And I just love Boimler, and I love that he put the team ahead of everybody.
I'm sitting here giggling because I'm thinking about the ensemble, all the different all the different parts that all the other regular cast, and all I can think of is Shaq saying, "It's naked time!
Oh, fail me!
It's naked time!" So good. So, Simon, I Excretus, the season 2 episode of Lower Decks. What's your take?
Oh, I love Lower Decks. This is
so good.
This is the one with Boimler and all the Borg babies. This is a really good one. I like this one. Yeah,
the pacing and the whole feeling of all those scenes with Boimler redoing the program and saving the Borg babies and just having a layer on layer is so good. I will say though, I always have to point this out. I hate Sherry Yin-Yam so much that this episode is lower on my ranks just because She drives me crazy.
She gets her comeuppance.
She does exactly what she's supposed to do. Oh yeah, she does get her comeuppance, which is great. So very satisfying. Okay, an all-time classic. I love this pick. Simon, what is your number 3 super round pick?
You better get those torpedoes ready.
All right.
Holodeck expands with Nazi aliens. #7 sings.
There we go.
I went with the Killing Game as well because I thought it was a great ensemble. The crew getting something to do with many people being out of character, Seven singing, and I remember Neelix being especially good as a Klingon. So yeah,
and especially good on a bike too. Navigating down that street. I always see Ethan Phillips so good. If people don't know that, remember, check that out. He's so talented. I did not think of this episode, so I am super fired up that it's a duplicate. Anika, any final thoughts on the Killing Game?
So I want to say that also the people behind the scenes worked really well with the costuming in particular.
Yeah.
The costuming and the set production are so good, and they help sell the story. And it's a really big, they have to redo the whole ship and create Nazi France.
It's incredible
on one side, and the rock caves with the Klingons on the others, the Star Trek rocks. So I think that that is also another layer of ensembleness, is that the production people are also working hard.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because I'll highlight something we didn't talk about. One of the all-time greatest cliffhangers. I'm pretty sure I picked this in either my cliffhangers or maybe WTF moments, but that final shot of the inside of the holodeck with the 3 decks blown out, and you can see into the ship on 3 floors with the CGI. That was mind-blowingly good in 1996 or whenever this aired. And it's still awesome today. It looks incredible. They did such a good job on the production of this episode. Just fantastic. Okay, let's close out round 3 with my pick. What do I got here? Okay, 5 words and a hashtag. Ensemble frames iconic Brooks performance. Hashtag wishing never changed a damn thing. And it's Deep Space Nine, season 6, episode 13, Far Beyond the Stars, an all-time classic episode of Trek. Man, we're doing it again. This is the 3rd time where the characters play other characters. This is nuts. So this episode, everyone knows this is perfection. It's Avery Brooks directed it. He stars obviously in a real powerful level in this tome on racism in the 50s and the things that people of color had to struggle with, just in terms of just working and earning a living. And this, I love this episode. It's obviously it's renowned for all the different reasons, but you've got Benny Russell, you've got the whole cast in the writer's room of this sci-fi magazine. Renee Auberjonois is the boss, who's obviously problematic. You've got Terry Farrell as the secretary, Cole Meany, Armin Shimmerman, Nana Visitor, Alexander Siddig. They're all there playing different roles. And of course, Kira plays Casey Hunter, the ambiguously named writer. Just absolutely brilliant. And then, like I said, with Disaster, everybody else is a part of this too. I mean, I didn't mention Worf too as a baseball player, and Sir Lofton as Jimmy. But you've also got Brock Peters as Joseph Sisko as the preacher. Jeffrey Combs and Mark Alamo are Wayoon and Ducat as the 2 bad detectives. J.G. Hertzler's the in-house artist. Aaron Reisenberg is the news vendor. And Penny Johnson, of course, is Cassie, who runs the local diner. It's incredible. I mean, that's like 15. That's more than 15 people who all play significant roles in this incredible ensemble. I love it. It's a masterpiece. Anika, what's your take?
I think this is my favorite episode of all of Star Trek. It is just a stunning, beautiful. The story is amazing, and every single person is fully invested in creating it, including, again, the people who made the costumes and the set design and the production and the writer, like everything. And then the reason that this I always comes up at the top of my favorite Star Trek lists is because it also includes the fans. At the very end, Benny, says that is he the dreamer or the dream?
Yeah.
And he is saying that about us because we are watching Deep Space Nine. We are also dreaming of that, fake reality to, that is better than our own reality. And so it includes absolutely everyone in the ensemble, including the audience.
Rest easy, Brother Benny. You have walked in the path of the prophets. There is no greater glory.
Tell me, please, who am I?
Don't you know?
Tell me.
You are the dreamer and the dream.
So absolutely beautiful pick.
Yeah, that ambiguous ending is just adds to the level of masterpiece that this is. Simon, what's your take?
Oh, this is an absolutely wonderful episode. I completely agree with what you've both said about it. It's seeing all the cast out of makeup, playing completely different characters, doing different things that you wouldn't normally see, and it just a great way to explore the issue of racism, really. So yeah, brilliant pick.
Yeah, powerful stuff. I love it. Okay, round 2. Anika, what do you got?
Okay. Let's go steal a hologram. # kept my cards close to my foolproof vest. Bada bing, bada bang. Deep Space Nine season 7. So I stole from Leverage there in my 5 words because this is a heist.
Yes,
and a heist is a quintessential ensemble plot because you have to build the team and each person has their own part of the engagement. And so everyone has to work together in order for it to work. And it has all of the typical heist parts where they explain everything that they're going to do. And then when they start doing it, everything goes wrong and they have to think on their feet and work together in the moment as well as beforehand. And it's, again, with the comparatively low stakes, but interesting commentary regarding both identity and the history of racism and storytelling. So it's like this sort of light and fluffy episode, but if you think about it, it starts to become sort of, deeper and is telling you something and teaching you something, which I think is what Star Trek is about. And this was the first episode I thought of when I heard the topics, because it's such an ensemble piece where everybody is, has their own part to play, and they have the 2 shots, the one where they're walking down the promenade all together in their costumes, and then the end when it does like the pan of the bar and it shows everybody. It's literally highlighting the ensemble with even the camera work. So it was just like that. I knew that had to be on my list.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's the first one I thought of too. I didn't pick it. I try not to pick whenever I ask the question for the next episode at the end of the previous episode. If somebody picks that one, I try not to pick it. I don't always do that, but on this one I decided, okay, I'm going to put that one in the back pocket as a secondary system because this is the first one I thought of. It is masterpiece ensemble. It's so much fun. That's just the key, right, of this episode is just fun. Like, forget everything else. It's fun. And even in the midst of all that, like you just said, Anika, that great moment with Sisko addressing the issues that he has with the program and that time era is really, really well done. And I mean, the way they integrated those thoughts and his narrative and his viewpoint into it was so well done. This is why Deep Space Nine is the greatest. Simon, what's your take on Bada Bing, Bada Bang?
Yeah, another one that was on my secondary system
Yeah.
because it was one of the first Deep Space Nine episodes. I thought that was ensemble. The whole crew getting involved in this heist. So yeah, great pick.
Okay, I'm trying to think now. What was Jake doing? He was just hanging out with Quark, right? He wasn't part of the.
Yeah,
heist.
not everybody got to be in.
They were the kind of the chorus observing it. But yeah. Okay, I love it. Round 2, Simon. What's your pick?
Movie like feel introduces season. #Hello Worf. I'm going with Way of the Warrior from Deep Space Nine.
God, of course. How did I not think of this?
Nice.
How did I not think of this? Brilliant. So good.
Yeah, Deep Space Nine, I think, does ensemble episodes very well. There's quite a lot of them that I could have picked, but this one, I thought, the start of the season 4, it has that movie-like feel. We've got all the different characters getting involved. I know there's a lot of concentration on introducing Worf, but everyone else is heavily featured in this episode, and so I thought it was a great one to pick.
It's Commander K-Box.
Why did he give it to me?
He's letting you know K-Box dead. Martok probably had him executed for disobeying orders.
Which means our next confrontation with the Klingons won't be resolved so easily. Any suggestions, old man?
The longer the Klingons are here, the worse things are going to get. Whatever you decide to do, you'd better do it soon.
Curzon told me once that in the long run, the only people who can really handle the Klingons are Klingons.
This is kind of a no-brainer. And plus that, just the fact that it's movie length gives everybody so much more time. And we haven't had a movie yet, which is definitely part of my consideration. This is all-time classic. Introduction of Worf. Introduction of the Klingons as the new foil. Just absolutely fantastic.
Now what?
Well, I can't be sure, of course, but my guess would be Klingons.
The Klingons! First it was the Cardassians. Then it was the Dominion. Now it's the Klingons. How's a Ferengi supposed to make an honest living in a place like this?
Anika, what's your take?
This was on my secondary systems. I think that it's an excellent pick. I love that it is an introduction to, or I guess reintroduction to Worf.
Right.
But everybody is involved, and again we get like those little glimpses of everybody working together, and yeah, absolutely, this is a perfect pick. And I completely agree that Deep Space Nine is really good at making ensemble pieces and including like there are so many characters on Deep Space Nine. There's the giant cast, and then there's like the secondary cast, and yet I can think of episodes for every single one of them. There's everybody gets to be highlighted at a certain point, so they really do well at spreading the love.
Yeah, there's really no debate that if you're talking about the series that hit on the ensemble definition more than any other was obviously Deep Space Nine, and that's part of the way the show was designed. So brilliant. I'm glad you had a secondary system. I can't believe I didn't think of this one. So awesome job, Simon. Love it. Okay, let's close out round 2 with my pick. 5 words and a hashtag. Who said he was alone? Hashtag a prodigy in the making. And this is Prodigy Season 1, Episode 9 and 10, A Moral Star, the 2-parter, the kind of close out that first half season of the first season of Prodigy. I freaking love this episode. I think it's super underrated, not just for Prodigy, but for Star Trek. It has everything, and all of the main cast are playing big parts in kind of this super cool Gambit team up that they have. So in part 1, I love the double switch that Dal and the gang are up to when they kind of work a deal with the diviner, and you're just like, no, what are they doing? Why are they trusting this guy who is just an unredeemable piece of shit? I will not apologize. I hate that guy. But I love the moment when they flip it and you realize that they stole the protocore, and it's inside Murph. I mean, that is such good stuff. It is such smart storytelling. And then in part 2, you get all these amazing scenes with the reveal of the Valnakat, and you get some more Dal heroics. And my main reason for picking it is this great ensemble moment at the end when Zero screams, which was my 5 words in the hashtag, "Who said he was alone?" When the diviner says, "Alone, Tao is no match for us," and then he reveals his true Medusan nature, and he takes down the diviner, and then from that moment you get all these additional setups with, Zero full of self-doubt moving forward in the season because he inadvertently injures Gwen, and he has all this self-reflection about the choice he made to try and to reveal himself and take down the diviner. And then you get the fact that Gwen can't remember the important information that we get revealed in this episode about the protostar destroying the Federation if they make contact. And if that wasn't enough, it ends with the ultimate ensemble moment. The actual Janeway appears and she's coming for Chakotay. I freaking love these episodes. They're just so good. A Moral Star is fantastic. Star Trek. Anika, what's your take?
When you said, "Who said he's alone?" I legitimately started tearing up.
Yeah, it's so
that
good.
moment is so good.
God, I love that.
The payoff for these episodes is incredible. It's a beautiful send-off for that first part of Prodigy and setting up the next part.
You would help the inferior before your own people. He alone is no match against the Varnaka.
Who said he was alone? I will not let you hurt my friends.
Zero.
You used me to hurt others. It's time I show you who I truly am, so you cannot hurt anyone else.
Prodigy, I have no complaints about Prodigy ever. It is so beautiful and so well crafted, and this is a great take. And again, I'm literally crying over here.
It really is. That 20 episodes is so well crafted. I cannot wait for season 2. Simon, what's your take on A Moral Star? Did you rewatch this one recently? Yeah, I guess you did.
Not recently, but I remember that this one was at the end of the first half, and there was a giant wait for the second half of the series. It was so frustrating because it's so I really started to get into it at kind of this point in the run, and so a great episode.
I hear you with the frustrating, but I remember it as being, I was so satisfied after these 2 episodes there, and I knew there were that obviously the cliffhangers and all the different things they set up.
Yeah.
But I was so satisfied, like, wow, this is like legitimate Star Trek. It's not even a question. I mean, it never really was with the show, but at that point, you'd just be an idiot if you were trying to argue that it wasn't Star Trek in some way or shape or form. Okay.
Begin round 1.
Round 1. Let's do this. Anika, what is your number 1 pick?
Okay, so I'm going out on a limb here because you said that Discovery doesn't have ensembles.
Oh, I love that. Well, I said about TOS too, and then Simon with Trouble with Tribbles. I'm like, oh, of course. And what I meant by that mostly was that they weren't designed to be ensemble shows. So when people criticize, like, I hate when people criticize Discovery because they don't, the bridge crew, not enough. It wasn't designed. The fact they even have the bridge crew identified is huge. It wasn't designed that way. It's not the show. Yes. Anyway, I love that you're picking Discovery. Let's hear it.
All right. So 5 words in a hashtag. Ensembles everywhere all at once. Hashtag next chapter.
Okay.
And I chose season 4, episode 4, All Is Possible, which I have notes. So
yes. Okay.
Stay with me. There are 3 plots, simultaneously going on this episode, and they are all about building a team, building an ensemble, or really rebuilding it after horrible things have happened. So there's Nivar, which is the Vulcan and Romulan unified planet, which is, so that's already an ensemble, is rejoining the Federation after they left during the whole burn situation.
Yep.
So the Federation, obviously, it is the United Federation of Planets, which is about as big an ensemble as you can get, and so they are recreating that. And it is built on the past, the original United Federation of Planets that was put together by 4 planets and then built out. But they're looking towards the future, and they have to convince President Rillick to come to the negotiating table, but basically Tarina and Rillick are both, set in their ways and refusing to compromise, and Burnham and Saru have to get them to come together, and they do it by reminding Rillick that she is an ensemble of different cultures because she is Bajoran, Cardassian, and human.
Yeah, I like that.
And then the other plot, the second plot is Tilly and Adira taking a bunch of cadets from the newly reformed Starfleet Academy, or the to be reformed Starfleet Academy, because it's still in its infancy, and it's a bunch of these are like completely new characters other than Tilly and Adira, and yet we see them team building. We have to learning who they are, where their place is on the team, and how they can work together, all within the same 47 minutes of the episode. And it is again literally building a team, both building the new academy and building a team of these 5 individuals. And they have to work together to get off of their planet because they lose contact. Of course, everything always goes bad. They crash a shuttle and they have to get off of it and get back to Starfleet. And then finally, there is a Book and Culber basically going through and mourning his planet, which has been completely destroyed. So they are mourning an entire planet of people, a whole group. That's an ensemble, and they're doing it by mixing together human Hugh's culture and his memorial traditions with books and his alien, to us, cultural traditions, and talking about how it'll never be the same, but you have to rebuild anyway. Oh, and there's also in the 4th season, Michael Burnham and Saru are both captains, and so it's like double captains working together. So that's like the core of a fleet. You have, even though they're on the same ship, they are also representative of more. And along with Admiral Brantz and along with all of the other people who are coming together, and so I just think that there are these different little layers of pocket ensembles that are all working together. And I'll just end with Gray has this amazing point where Adira is like, you won't know anybody when you go on there. Why do you want to hang out with these people? Because you don't know anybody. I think from their perspective, Adira is like, I don't know anybody, so I don't want to be doing this. But Gray says, well, I'll walk into a room and I'll introduce myself and then I'll know someone. And I just think that is how you build friendship. That is how you build relationships. And that's how you build a team and how you build an ensemble. So it's a strange, it's sort of on the sly pick, but I think that it's actually sort of like this Valentine to the idea of building teams.
My God, it's so good. I mean, I love a deep cut outside the box pick on TrekRanks, and that is what this is. I mean, when I think about this episode, I think about the stuff with Book mourning Quajon, which I think is really effective, and then this is really where you get Saru and Tarina connecting at that next level, right? Where now everyone's clamoring for them to be together as this episode unfolds. And then you've got, what we see here with the Academy and the rebuild and Tilly and Kovacs and the cadets where, that's probably at some level going to play into what we're going to see in the new series. I mean, it may not be a foundation of it, but it's definitely going to connect to it,
That's what my hashtag means, next chapter.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Everyone online is saying, who is the Starfleet Academy series even for, I would like to say me. It is for me.
It's every Star Trek series is for me. So that is perfect. I love it. Incredible. Really awesome, deep cut, connective ensemble pick. Simon, what's your take on All Is Possible? Season 4 Discovery.
Yeah, great. A great pick. I really like the Tilly with the cadets and getting them to connect with each other. Stuff that I remember that being really good. So yeah.
I remember the only thing I didn't like about this episode is that Tilly left after this episode. That gutted me because they never announced it publicly or anything, and I was just like, "What? She's gone? Tilly's gone? Oh, she'll be back in season 5 though, so we know that." Exciting. Okay, and she was back at the end of season 4 too. So, so I was crying about nothing. Anyway, let's go to Simon's number 1 pick. What do you got?
7 friends sat on a bridge. #8 if you count the Enterprise. I'm going with Picard, The Last Generation.
So good. This was definitely on my secondary system.
Me too.
I wanted to pick the entirety of season 3 of Picard because it has such an ensemble feel.
Yeah.
All of the 7 characters from TNG got so much to do. I think Dr. Crusher probably got the best scenes ever in Picard. Riker and Picard's friendship gets explored, but for this pick, I just wanted to go with those 7 friends of ours just sat on the bridge of the Enterprise D, a place with just it feels like another home to us. We've watched it so many times over the years. So
yeah, it's powerful.
Plus the recreation of the poker scene from All Good Things to end the series. Oh, perfect ensemble in my mind. So this had to be my my number 1 because it just amazing.
And beyond those emotions and that just being together again, everybody's got something super important to do and contribute all the way across the board. And you got 7 and Shaw. Well, I guess he was already dead. I guess he was dead by this episode. But sorry, Shaw. Oh no, but he shows up and promotes. He promotes Anika at the end of. He promotes 7 at the end of the episode, and Tuvok is there too. Oh my god, it's so good. I love it. I definitely considered this. I also considered the bounty from Picard because I love that was another one where it's just like. There was 3 or 4 different little story beats happening, and all the characters had big stuff to do. Anika, what's your take on The Last Generation, the finale of Star Trek Picard?
Yep, it's on my secondary systems. It was on my short list. I love all of Picard, even the terrible parts. And it was a beautiful send-off. This particular episode, I really love the juxtaposition of the empty Borg cube. that it's not how you think of the Borg, and the idea that you can find that connection and that collective with just your friends and family, and that is how you win. That's how they win, is because they remind Jack that he already has that, and by doing that, Picard is reminded that he already had that, and he always did. And I just think that's a beautiful message. So I love all of the beats. Like everybody gets to do something. Everybody gets to do something important, and then it's silly little humorous parts too. And it has like 7 endings to make sure that everybody gets a good ending. So, and
really does have like 7 endings. That's so true.
It's a great pick. It was, it's a really good, fun send off to those characters.
Yeah, it is. That is an awesome pick. Definitely was narrowly missed on my list. Okay, let's close it out with my round 1 pick. And I didn't realize until after I made this pick, but the title of this episode is actually just perfect title, Screaming Ensemble. I love this pick. So here we go. 5 words and a hashtag. how does Mike McMahon do it? Hashtag a true crew ensemble. And this is Lower Decks season 1's finale, no small parts, which is the perfect ensemble terminology. No small parts. I could have picked First Contact too. I ultimately went with this one because I love how this kind of sets the trend for Lower Decks for how they close out all the seasons with these incredible ensemble episodes that include all of the series regulars and important kind of weighty things that they're doing, but it also feels like an ensemble for the season because the episodes have these real distinct and kind of important connections to each of the episodes that came prior in the season. It's amazing how they do it. I'm telling you, if you rewatch like this one, you will see little callbacks to all 9 episodes from the season 1 prior to this dropping, and I just love that. I'm not going to list them all here, and then there's the other thing too. This was the episode that really, really entrenched in my mind that Lower Decks is not just a kind of a niche comedy or animated series. This is like a real Star Trek show with dense, layered episodes that just feel like Star Trek in whatever format. And there was a few episodes prior to this that felt like that too, but this one just kind of hits you over the head with like you are watching a pure Star Trek episode at every level. And the last thing I'll say, there's this amazing scene because I've had this on my list for a while to pick. I rewatched it right before this. I couldn't believe it. There's all 8 characters are in it at the same time, where Freeman is wounded and they get her into the sick bay. And you've got Mariner, Boimler, Tendi, Rutherford, Dr. Tiana, and Shax are all there. Fucking Peanut Hamper's there too, so forgive me. And then Ransom is outside sickbay fighting off the Packlids, and it's so ensemble-y, and I just love it even more. And then at the end, Riker shows up. Riker and Troy show up. I mean, this episode incredible. Mike McMahon wrote this one. I love it. It's 28 minutes long. It's the 3rd longest episode of Lower Decks. So I love it. Anika, what's your take?
I love it. That's a great tribute to ensembles. I love that the title it's like a perfect ending to this list.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Lower Decks crew, again, they are really good at doing ensembles on Lower Decks. Because there's like the core 4, and then there's the bridge crew, and then there's the like 3rd layer of people on the Cerritos, and then there's, like you said, Riker and Troy come in, and there's like all of these, we've seen Tom Paris, and we've seen like they bring people on, and Kira, and so it's like this great, again, a Valentine to Star Trek. And I mean, Captain Freeman has dethroned Janeway as my favorite captain. So
I hear that.
It's just such a wonderful series, and I agree that like it was like they planted their flag and said, we are Star Trek, take us seriously, but not too seriously because you're supposed to laugh.
That is the perfect summation. That's exactly what this episode does. It plants that flag. Simon, what's your take on No Small Parts?
Lower Decks just does these kind of episodes so well, and Riker and Troy showing up is like the icing on the cake on this one. Brilliant episode.
I mean, you literally could pick a dozen, half the episodes of Lower Decks would fit ensemble so well, which just blows me away that they not only fit in the 4 Lower Decks leads, but then also Tiana, Shax, everybody else. How Badgie was in this too. I forgot. Badgie shows up at the end. Incredible.
Let's see what you can do with the secondary system.
Okay, amazing. Let's do some secondary systems picks. Anika, what just missed your list?
So I'm gonna say The Voyage Home.
Oh yeah,
the Star Trek 4. I'm surprised that nobody picked it. I was
Me
like,
too.
someone else will get that. I won't worry about it.
Yeah, I was like, it's a little too obvious. I'm not going to pick it, but I think also somebody picked it on last week when I asked the question. So I'm glad. All right, Voyage Home is, clearly one of the great ensembles.
And then we mentioned Last Generation, we mentioned Disaster, we mentioned Way of the Warrior. So the only other one I have is Subspace Rhapsody.
Yes, that's the one.
Strange New Worlds. because they're literally an ensemble. They're singing. A musical, you get cast in the ensemble if you're in the chorus, So it ends with everyone coming together, and they have to sing together in order to beat the game. So I think that is obviously an ensemble piece, and so yeah.
That was Subspace Rhapsody is my toughest cut. If I could do it all over again, I would probably include it now, knowing nobody else picked it. It's incredible and as ensemble as it gets for Trek. Simon, what just missed your list?
Bada Bing, Bada Bang, we've mentioned. Star Trek 4, we've mentioned. First TNG film, First Contact. I thought that was quite ensemble-y. Subspace Rhapsody, we've mentioned. We mentioned Workforce. All the pilot episodes of the various series tend to be,
of course.
So ensemble because they're introducing all the characters.
Duh.
Deep Space Nine, Sacrifice of Angels, Take Me Out to the Holosuite, What You Leave Behind as well.
Yeah.
Even with the background behind the scenes people in Vic's bar, so even more ensemble on that one.
Yeah, actually, I should have just ruled out all the premiere episodes and season and series finale episodes. So, although you picked the series finale, so yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, brilliant. I had of course the pilots are going to have, except for the Vulcan Hello, which was like the pre-sub pilot before Context is for Kings. Okay, I had a few more that didn't get mentioned. The one I wanted to pick was One Little Ship, right? Because I just love the ensemble nature of that, but there's not enough Odo or Jake in that one, so I pushed it aside. And then same for Time Zero, which is another one I thought about because they really are full ensemble, except Worf's not really there till the end, but he does get some good stuff at the end. So I passed on those two. And then my special shout out, this is another one I really wanted to pick. I thought it was on my list for a while. I finally ruled it out because Uhura and Sulu really don't have as much to do as everybody else. But Star Trek Beyond, for me, was a really good ensemble because I love Spock and McCoy doing their thing. And I love the pairing of Kirk and Chekhov in this episode. So that one was on the list, but I just couldn't make it because I really wanted to have every character heavily involved. So that is incredible, amazing topic. But let's get into our regeneration cycle now and go through some stats. I got some cool ones, and then we'll recap our picks.
Computer, activate regeneration cycle. Alcoves beta and gamma.
Okay, Anika, recap your top 5 ensemble episodes.
All right. Number 5, The Killing Game from Voyager. Number 4, Time Amok from Prodigy. Number 3, I Excretus from Lower Decks. Number 2, Bada Bing Bada Bang from Deep Space Nine. And number 1, All Is Possible from Discovery.
I love it. So you had 5 different incarnations, including 3 from the new era. So Discovery, Prodigy, and Lower Decks. Fantastic. Simon, recap yours.
5, The Trouble with Tribbles from TOS. 4, Disaster, TNG. 3, The Killing Game, Voyager. 2, Way of the Warrior, Deep Space Nine. And number 1, The Last Generation from Star Trek Picard.
All right, you also had 5 different incarnations with TOS, TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Picard. Although of all the Picard picks, that one's very TNG. So, okay, and then my number 5 was Peak Performance from TNG. My number 4 pick was Voyager's Workforce. Number 3, Far Beyond the Stars from Deep Space Nine. Number 2 from Prodigy, A Moral Star, parts 1 and 2. And then the Lower Decks season 1 finale was my number 1 pick, No Small Part. So I also had 5 spread around. So we really did a good job there. TNG, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Prodigy, and Lower Decks. Okay, so a couple of statistics. So there's no movies picked. That is kind of surprising. I figured someone would have a movie. But, sometimes in the movies, the ensemble nature of it feels a little tacked on. Like, well, we got to find something for this character to do as well. But The Voyage Home is definitely the best of those. Okay, so we had only one duplicate, The Killing Game. But we also had 4 episodes that were duplicates because each of those episodes, everybody was playing doubles or duplicates at some level. So we had The Killing Game twice, and then Far Beyond the Stars and Workforce. And then we had 2 holodeck episodes. I'm counting Bada Bing, Bada Bang, and I Excretus. I'm counting as a holodeck episode. Because it pretty much was. Okay, so the breakdown is amazing. We really spread it around. We had 8 different incarnations of Trek that were picked. This is amazing. So 1 each from TOS, Discovery, and Picard. There were 0 from Enterprise, by the way, which was one of the ones I listed. And then 2 each from TNG, Lower Decks, and Prodigy. So Lower Decks and Prodigy each had 2, which is awesome. And then leading the way with 3 apiece was Deep Space Nine and Voyager. So, man, it was really level and spread around. I love it. Amazing, amazing choices. All right, but now we're going to initiate a temporal inversion because it's time to hear from you.
Initiate temporal inversion.
Initiating.
And for this week's temporal inversion, we're going all the way back to episode 161 and catching up on some of our previous feedback from listeners. That episode was one of our classic abstract topics, and we got so much feedback on this one. It was including a couple of voicemails that we actually played. So, but we're finally catching up on some of the lists submitted on Twitter. So that was our abstract tease, and I'm going to run through a couple lists here. One from @CT Trekkie, the Punisher. Paul Edinger has been on the show a couple of times. And his abstract T list, I love this. Number 5 was Tane, obviously Anabran Tane, who he loves as a character. Number 4, Tau Celeste. I think I might have had her on my secondary systems. I love her from Voyager, the Bajoran, who was in 2 or 3 episodes. Number 3 was 2, TWO. Season 2 of TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise are, in his opinion, much stronger than they're given credit for. I love that. That is abstract. Number 2 is Trip and T'Pol, which is an awesome pick, one of the best ships in Trek. And number 1, his favorite Trek species, the Tholians. He wants more of the Tholians. I love that list. Fantastic. I love the abstract topics. Need to do another one. Okay, and this one is from our friend Chris @Shelf Nerds, host of the First Flight podcast. He had his number 5 was Triolic Waves. I just mentioned Time Zero, so that's good timing. Triolic Waves distort space-time continuum, #Ophidians and orifices from Time Zero. That is fantastic. Number 4, he's got Trellium D is his choice. Trudging through sludge for Trellium D, #insulating synapse degrading. Fantastic. That's from the Zindi and Enterprise. Number 3, he's got, I think it's Tricesium. I can't remember. It's Tricesium casing from the Void in Voyager. Salvaged in the Tricesium case, #a helpful musical race. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. Why do I not remember that one? That is a deep cut, my man. Okay, number 2, Triox, less out of breath, #Lisa saved them. It's the Triox compound from the sound of her voice in Deep Space Nine. And number 1, he's got Time Crystal, his 5 words, timely touch teaches tough truths, #strength or mercy, and it's a quality of mercy, the Time Crystal. Oh my God, so good. Wow. I love those lists. Yeah, fantastic stuff. All right, once again, those picks more than enough to clear ourselves from this week's temporal inversion. So as always, I want to thank everyone for all your great responses to the TrekRanks podcast. Keep your list coming to me @TrekRanks on Twitter so we can retweet them. But we also want to hear from you. So put together your own list of top 5 ensemble episodes or a list from any of our past shows. Give us a call at the Tricorder Transmissions at 609-512-5527, or you can just record it yourself and then send me a DM. We can connect that way too. So hopefully we are out of voicemails. So I need some new voicemails, people. We've been pretty consistently putting them on the show. So send us a list if you got one. So hopefully we'll hear from you so you can be featured on the next episode of TrekRanks. And on the next episode of TrekRanks, we are doing a fun one. I love this topic. It's the top 5 episodes you want to watch again for the first time. So we all have those favorite episodes that we've watched over and over again. And we would love to kind of recapture that first time feeling for whatever reason. Maybe it's because we watched it too many times, or maybe it's because it surprised you in a way that you just couldn't maintain that surprise on rewatches. But let me be clear, we're also going to do in the future, but also let me be clear, this topic, the top 5 episodes you want to watch again for the first time, is not the same as the top 5 episodes that when you watch it, it always feels like the first time, because we're going to do that topic too at some point. So that's very different. This is the top 5 episodes you want to watch again for the first time and have that feeling again like you're watching it for the first time. Okay, so now I got all that out to explain it. Anika and Simon, if you had to choose one episode you want to watch again for the first time, what would it be, Anika?
This is hard. I'm going to say Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Oh my God, that is so, can you imagine?
I think that to get that catharsis.
That would be such
that emotional.
Yeah, exactly. And all the Spock stuff. Yeah, that is a really good pick. I mean, to watch that again for the first time and go through the Spock emotion. Oh, incredible. Simon, this is gonna be a great topic. I can't wait. Simon, one episode you want to watch again for the first time.
Oh, this is difficult being put on the spot like this.
Come on.
I was going to go with Star Trek 2009.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's that fresh new look at Star Trek that film introduced, and just going into that without the knowledge that we've got now. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, how exciting was that walking out of the theater that first time in 2009? Wow, they did that. That's new and fresh. I love it. Those 2 picks are amazing. I've got so many ideas. I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Channel closed. Reset. Subspace communications. Scrambler code Riker 1.
Okay, Scrambler code Riker 1 acknowledged. Let's close this episode out with a huge thanks to Anika Dane and Simon Foster. It was awesome having you guys both on the show for the first time. So any final Trek Scrambler codes, either one you want to relay before we depart, Anika?
All right. I have a Star Trek podcast that is currently on hiatus, but will be starting back up in the new year. It is Antimatter Pod, and you can find us at antimatterpod.com or any podcaster.
Fantastic. What's your guys' topic theme /
So it is a Star Trek podcast discussing fashion, feminism, subtext, and subspace.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, and it's starting up again in the new year. Love it.
That's right.
Okay, Simon, thanks for coming on, man. It's great to finally talk to you.
Yeah, I've had a blast talking Trek with you tonight. It's been really good fun. If anyone wants to reach out, I'm at FunkySci1701 on Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and other socials as well.
I love it. Funky Sci. I forgot to say that to the whole podcast. I blew it. Well, maybe I'll see you again in 10 years at another trivia contest in Birmingham. So, okay. Thank you, everyone, for engaging with us here on episode 174 of the TrekRanks podcast. As always, I want to close by saying I'm looking forward to standing with you again here in this place where I belong.
I told him about my father, and he couldn't understand why I wasn't insulted. Finally, I just had to tell him I'm Norvalen. I don't have a father. It wasn't that funny, too, bud.
On the contrary. The man was ignorant of how your species procreates. His attempt to disparage you ultimately humiliated him. Irony is often the source of humor.
Yes, well, when you explain it like that, it's not funny at all.
I also have some humorous anecdotes to share.
Just want to remind everyone again that the entire TrekRanks catalog is available for you to download and listen to at TrekRanks.com and on your podcast player of choice. Our episodes never get carbon dated, so check out the topics you've missed and maybe just want to listen to again over at TrekRanks.com. And a reminder to check out our friends 5-Year Mission at 5yearmission.net. They're writing a song for every episode of Star Trek, and you won't believe how great their music is. They also have a podcast at the Trek Geeks Network, so seek them out. You won't regret it.
Consider what you do here, Galron. Kahless himself said, destroying an empire to win a war is no victory.
And ending a battle to save an empire is no defeat. We can still win!
Not before those starships get here. Now, what do you want me to tell them? To stand down or to come in firing?
It is we who shall stand down. That's all! Enough. Ceasefire. Order our ships in Cardassian territory to halt their advance. I do not intend to hand victory to the Dominion. But let your people know. The Klingon Empire will remember what has happened here. You have sided against us in battle. And this, we do not forgive or forget.